We often think that living a longer, healthier life means adding more. More supplements, more exercise routines, more green smoothies. But doctors are pointing to something far simpler and often overlooked. Doing less of the things that wear us down. Not dramatic changes, but small daily habits that quietly chip away at our energy, our strength, and over time, our longevity. What's remarkable is how these habits often sneak in slowly. They become part of our routine. Maybe it's staying up too late, even though we're tired. Maybe it's saying yes to a request when we're already stretched thin. Maybe it's eating something that leaves us sluggish. But we've been doing it for so long, we barely notice. These aren't big decisions, but they add up. And what doctors are finding is that these small patterns, repeated day after day, are some of the strongest predictors of how well we age. Harvard researchers have found that it's not the occasional indulgence that shapes our health span, it's the daily rhythm. What you usually do is what matters. And according to the National Institutes of Health, reducing low-grade chronic stress, the kind that builds up from constant pressure, poor sleep, and unhealthy food choices, can dramatically improve your quality of life in later years. That's not just living longer, that's living better. Take Elaine, for example. She's 70 and lives in New Jersey. A couple years ago, she realized her energy was dropping. She wasn't ill, but she felt foggy and unmotivated most mornings. She started making one change: no more eating after 9 p.m., and a goal to be in bed by 10:30 every night. That's it. She didn't overhaul her whole lifestyle, but within weeks, she said it felt like she'd rolled the clock back. Her sleep deepened, her appetite evened out, her mornings felt lighter. That's the power of subtracting just one draining habit. That's what we're going to explore together. If your goal is to stay sharp, strong, and steady as the years go on, this is the place to start. You don't need to do more. You need to choose a little less of what's holding you back. And while you're here, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps more people see this kind of content. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and in the comments, I'd love to know. What's one small habit you've already decided to cut back on? Now let's begin with something that creeps in easily during retirement, yet silently weakens our body's foundation every single day. Habit number 1, sitting for hours without moving. It's easy to lose track of time when you're reading a book, watching a movie, or scrolling on your tablet. But staying seated for hours at a time, especially without stretching or standing, can quietly chip away at your health. Doctors now consider prolonged sitting to be a serious risk factor, comparing its effects to those of smoking. That may sound dramatic, but research from the Mayo Clinic shows that long periods of physical inactivity can lead to increased risk for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, circulation problems, and loss of muscle mass, especially in older adults. It doesn't take much movement to make a big difference. Experts suggest getting up every 30 to 60 minutes, even if it's just to stand, stretch, or walk a short distance. The key is breaking the cycle of stillness. Instead of watching 2 or 3 TV episodes back to back, try standing up at the end of each one, maybe even walking around the room or down the hall. The shift might seem minor, but your muscles, joints, and circulation benefit almost immediately. Ron, a 76-year-old from Texas, realized how stiff he felt every afternoon and how long his naps had become. He wasn't sure what was causing the discomfort until he noticed how long he'd been sitting. So he set a timer for every 45 minutes during the day, reminding himself to move. At first, it felt unnecessary, but within 2 weeks, he noticed his joint pain easing. He didn't need long naps anymore because his body wasn't seizing up from hours in the same position. His energy returned, and he said he even started looking forward to his movement breaks. Staying active doesn't have to mean a gym routine or a scheduled walk. It can simply mean treating your body with care throughout the day, changing positions, doing light stretches, or standing while you make a phone call. These short bursts of movement reduce inflammation, help blood sugar regulation, and maintain muscle tone, which is essential for balance and strength as we age. You might be surprised by how quickly your body responds to less sitting. Many people report sleeping better, feeling less achy, and even improving digestion. It's a gentle reminder that motion, no matter how small, signals to your body that it's alive and working. Now let's look at something a little tastier, but just as risky: Habit number 2, eating too many processed foods. Packaged meals and snacks may be quick and convenient, but their long-term effects can quietly take a toll on your health. Many of these foods, frozen dinners, boxed snacks, sugary breakfast items, are high in sodium, added sugars, and unhealthy fats, while offering very little fiber or real nutritional value. Over time, they can raise inflammation in the body, spike your blood pressure, and even contribute to cognitive decline. Harvard's Aging and Nutrition study found a striking connection. Older adults who regularly consumed highly processed foods had shorter telomeres, those tiny protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes. Shorter telomeres are a marker of accelerated aging, linked to a higher risk of chronic disease and earlier mortality. In other words, what you eat isn't just affecting your waistline. It may be speeding up how quickly your body ages on a cellular level. One of the simplest shifts you can make is leaning into home-cooked meals with real, whole ingredients. You don't have to cook from scratch every day. In fact, batch cooking once or twice a week can give you nourishing, ready-to-eat options without relying on frozen or processed meals. A pot of vegetable soup, a pan of roasted chicken and sweet potatoes, or a grain salad with beans and herbs can stretch across multiple meals. You can freeze portions for later or mix and match with fresh ingredients during the week. Seasoning also plays a big role. Many store-bought meals are loaded with salt and artificial flavorings. When you cook at home, you can boost flavor naturally with herbs, spices, lemon juice, garlic, or olive oil. Not only does this help reduce your sodium intake, it also brings variety and enjoyment back to your meals. Barbara, 73, from Florida, used to rely on frozen dinners most nights. It started out as a convenience, but over time, she began noticing sluggish digestion, frequent bloating, and a general sense of fatigue. Her doctor suggested trying batch cooking to reduce her intake of processed foods. She started with soups, vegetable-based, hearty, and easy to portion out. Within a couple of months, she lost 10 pounds without dieting and said her energy came back. Her skin even looked brighter, and she noticed fewer afternoon crashes. Eating well doesn't mean following strict rules or cutting out all treats. It's about shifting the foundation of your meals from processed to real. Even making 1 or 2 changes each week can help you feel sharper, more energized, and more in control of your health. And speaking of sugar, this next habit is one of the sneakiest. Habit number 3, drinking sugary beverages daily. It's easy to underestimate how much sugar sneaks into our day through what we drink. From sodas and sweetened teas to fruit juices and flavored lattes, these beverages can quietly overload the body with added sugars. While they may taste refreshing or comforting, they often come with a steep price, raising blood sugar levels, increasing triglycerides, and contributing to stubborn belly fat. Johns Hopkins researchers have found that even drinks labeled as natural or 100% juice can pack in as much sugar as a soda. That sugar hits the bloodstream quickly, leading to insulin spikes and crashes that sap your energy and strain your metabolism. Over time, it can raise the risk of heart disease, fatty liver, and type 2 diabetes, especially in older adults who may already have some underlying health concerns. What your body truly craves is hydration, not sugar. Swapping sweetened drinks for options that hydrate without the extra calories can make a real difference in how you feel day to day. Infused water is a great place to start. Try adding slices of cucumber, lemon, berries, or mint to a pitcher of water and keeping it in the fridge. Herbal teas, hot or iced, offer variety and flavor without sugar. And if you're a coffee drinker, switching to black coffee with a sprinkle of cinnamon gives you flavor with added antioxidants. Hydrating well supports healthy digestion, smoother joints, and clearer skin. It can even help regulate appetite and improve sleep, which are both crucial for aging well. George, 79, from Oregon, used to drink soda with almost every meal. He didn't think much of it until his doctor mentioned that his triglycerides were creeping up and his sleep was getting disrupted. George made a small change. He started keeping a pitcher of cucumber water in his fridge and swapped his soda habit for a glass of it at lunch and dinner. Within a few weeks, he noticed less bloating, better digestion, and more restful sleep. "I didn't expect something so small to help so much," he said. "This next one is surprising. because it's something most of us do without realizing it. Habit number 4, multitasking. While eating meals used to be an event, something we paused for, enjoyed, and shared, but somewhere along the way, they became just another thing to squeeze in while doing something else. Watching TV, scrolling through a phone, or reading the news while eating may seem harmless, but over time it can train the brain to disconnect from hunger and satisfaction cues. The National Institutes of Health has found that distracted eaters can consume up to 25% more in a sitting without even realizing it. When the brain isn't focused on the act of eating, we miss out on the signals that tell us when we're full or truly satisfied. That can lead to overeating, indigestion, and even emotional eating, especially when meals are paired with stressful content or background noise. Mindful eating, on the other hand, allows your body to fully process and enjoy food. That doesn't mean turning meals into a big production. It can be as simple as sitting at the table, turning off the television, and taking a few deep breaths before the first bite. Notice the colors on your plate, the aroma of what you're about to enjoy, the crunch or softness of each bite. Even chewing a little longer can improve digestion and help you feel more satisfied with less. Linda, 68, from Nevada, had a routine of watching the evening news during dinner. It felt like I was staying informed, she said, but I never felt full, and I always felt a little tense afterward. One day she decided to try eating without the TV on. She put on some soft music instead, lit a candle, and sat down with her plate. Over the next few weeks, she noticed she was naturally eating less, feeling more at ease, and actually enjoying her food again. Dinner became my favorite part of the day, she said. And while we're on habits that stress the body, here's one that's especially hard on your sleep. Habit number 5, scrolling on devices before bed. There's something oddly comforting about checking your phone one last time before bed, catching up on news, reading messages, maybe watching a quick video. But that small screen can have a surprisingly large effect on how well you sleep. The light it gives off, particularly the blue wavelength, sends signals to the brain that it's still daytime. That suppresses melatonin, the hormone that helps your body wind down and fall into deep, restorative sleep. According to the Cleveland Clinic, poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired. Over time, it's been tied to a weakened immune system, memory issues, and higher risk of heart disease. REM sleep, one of the most critical phases for mental and emotional health, is especially vulnerable to disruption from nighttime screen exposure. This doesn't mean giving up your phone entirely. The key is timing. Shutting off devices at least an hour before bed gives your body the time it needs to ease into a natural rhythm. Instead of screens, consider a calming routine. A few stretches to release tension, a hot cup of herbal tea, or even writing down 3 good things that happened during the day. If you enjoy stories, try an audiobook or read a physical book, ideally something light or uplifting. Walter, 80, from Washington, used to scroll through headlines in bed. It became a habit, he said, but I wasn't sleeping. I'd wake up 2 or 3 times a night. After learning how blue light affects sleep, he decided to leave his phone in the living room. He picked up a mystery novel instead, something to look forward to at the end of the day. Within a few nights, he noticed the difference. I fall asleep faster and wake up fewer times, and he said, I didn't realize how much better I could feel with just a little more rest. Are you guilty of any of these habits? Leave a comment below and let us know. And if this video is helping, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit too. Habit number 6, saying yes to everything. It feels kind and generous to say yes when people ask for your help, especially when it's family or close friends. But when every request gets a quick yes, you may find yourself stretched too thin, running on empty, and feeling overwhelmed without even realizing why. That's the hidden cost of overcommitting. Harvard's mind-body research shows that setting healthy boundaries is one of the most protective actions you can take for your mental and physical well-being. Chronic stress, often caused by trying to do too much, can weaken the immune system, raise blood pressure, and lead to burnout. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's a simple buildup, a ride here, a favor there, a few too many obligations back to back. That's why one small phrase can be so powerful. Let me think about it. It gives you a moment to breathe, to assess your energy, and to decide whether the request truly fits your time and needs. There's no guilt in protecting your peace. In fact, saying no can be one of the kindest things you do for both yourself and others. Janet, 72, from Georgia, used to take on every family favor that came her way. Babysitting, rides, errands, you name it. "I didn't want to disappoint anyone," she said. But after a string of sleepless nights and a weekend in bed with fatigue, she knew something had to give. Now I pause, I say, "Let me think about it." And sometimes I say, "Not this time." I still help, but on my terms, and I'm healthier for it. You don't need to be everything for everyone. Giving yourself the space to rest, to breathe, and to choose wisely can do more for your longevity than any supplement or workout. Habit number 7, skipping strength or balance work. It's great to walk every day or swim a few laps. Those are wonderful ways to keep the heart healthy. But if strength and balance aren't part of the routine, a big piece of the puzzle is missing. As we age, muscle mass naturally declines, and with it, stability. That's when everyday movements, like getting up from a chair or reaching into a cupboard, start to feel harder. According to the National Institutes of Health, incorporating strength and balance work just twice a week can cut fall risk by more than 30%. And falls aren't just bumps and bruises. They're a leading cause of loss of independence in older adults. But here's the good part. It doesn't take hours at the gym. Simple movements like chair squats, using resistance bands, or practicing balance poses at home can make a powerful difference. Paul, 74, from Michigan, learned this the easy way. "I never thought about balance work," he said. "I figured walking was enough." But after hearing about a neighbor's fall, he decided to add 15 minutes of resistance band exercises twice a week. It wasn't hard and it didn't take long, but now I walk steadier. I feel more secure on stairs. And that gave me the confidence to do more. Staying strong doesn't mean pushing your limits. It means protecting your independence. With a little consistency, your muscles stay active, your coordination improves, and everyday life feels more manageable. Speaking of strength, here's a quiet habit that can slowly sap your spirit. Habit number 8, dwelling on regrets. Everyone has moments they wish had gone differently. Words unsaid, decisions made, time lost. But staying stuck in those memories can wear down the body as much as the spirit. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found that unresolved guilt and resentment are tied to higher levels of stress hormones like cortisol, which can disrupt sleep, raise blood pressure, and affect overall health. Over time, the emotional weight of regret becomes a physical burden. What helps? Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to stop reliving the moment that can't be changed. One powerful method is to write a letter, not to send, but simply to release the feeling. When those words are put on paper, they stop spinning in the mind. That's exactly what Mildred, 75, from Kansas, did. She said there were things she'd carried for decades, regrets about how she handled her marriage, guilt over how little time she spent with her parents before they passed. At first, she didn't know where to begin, but she sat down and wrote letters to each person. She didn't send them. She didn't need to. "I feel 30 pounds lighter emotionally," she said. "It was like clearing out a closet I forgot was even there." Even if writing isn't your thing, making the choice each day to forgive, yourself or others, can soften tension you may not even realize you're holding. Emotional freedom has ripple effects. Better sleep, calmer thoughts, steadier mood, and even better heart health. Habit number 9, staying indoors too much. Spending time indoors is comfortable, but too much of it can quietly chip away at both physical and mental health. When you're inside for long stretches, your body may miss out on essential vitamin D, which supports immunity, bone strength, and mood balance. The Mayo Clinic even points to a link between time in nature and improved heart rate variability, a marker of overall resilience and cardiovascular health. It doesn't take hours of hiking or elaborate outdoor adventures to see benefits. Just a short walk around the block, tending to a few plants, or sitting on the porch with a cup of tea can provide a powerful lift. Even cloudy days offer exposure to natural light and the fresh air your lungs and mind crave. Tom, 77, from Minnesota, found his own routine that works year-round. He started walking the length of his driveway, just up and back twice a day. At first, it was about staying limber, but he noticed something else, a mental clarity and steadiness that stayed with him long after he'd come back inside. Even in winter, he said, it keeps my joints and my heart warm. Getting outside isn't only about movement, it's also about stimulation. Looking at trees, hearing birds, or simply watching the clouds move can soothe the nervous system and give your brain a break from screens and to-do lists. And in colder seasons, bundling up and taking even a few deep breaths outdoors can shift your energy. So if the day feels heavy or your motivation is low, don't underestimate the power of opening the door and stepping out. Sometimes the smallest step outside is the biggest step toward better health. And finally, let's wrap up with a habit that makes or breaks every other health choice. Habit number 10, ignoring how you speak to yourself. The way you talk to yourself matters more than most people realize. Those quiet comments, "I'm so forgetful," "I'll never get it right," "I'm too old for this," can have a lasting effect on your energy, your health, and even your body's ability to heal. Studies from the Cleveland Clinic show that kind, constructive self-talk helps lower inflammation, supports the immune system, and makes healthy choices easier to stick with. Harsh inner criticism doesn't just stay in your mind. It creates a ripple effect throughout the body, raising stress hormones, lowering motivation, and making you feel stuck. And unlike an argument with someone else, these negative thoughts don't get a break. They echo through the day and night if you don't interrupt them. But here's what's powerful. You can change your inner voice at any age. Even if you've spent decades being hard on yourself, it's never too late to practice speaking more gently. That doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means approaching them like you would with a loved one, with patience, encouragement, and respect. Try this simple switch. Instead of saying, "I can't do that," say, "I'm learning," or "I'm working on it." Replace "I always mess this up" with "I'm doing my best today." These small edits help your brain shift out of survival mode and into growth. It may feel strange at first, but consistency is what makes it stick. David Adie from North Carolina gave this a try. He began ending each day by naming just one thing he liked about himself, whether it was how he handled a phone call, remembered an old friend's birthday, or took a walk despite not feeling up to it. At first, he said it felt a little silly, but after a few weeks, something changed. He felt steadier, calmer, more motivated. It felt silly, he said, until it started working. So listen closely to the way you speak to yourself. Would you say those words to someone you love? If not, don't say them to yourself either. A kind voice within creates a stronger, healthier life on the outside too.